moved to
Yeah.
ways and means.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, but it got subsumed into the omnibus, right? And so in order for, if the omnibus gets passed, then we're good, right?
In the house.
In the house.
In the
Oh,
house.
in the house, okay, all right.
There's
That's
a
why we
lot.
have the companion bill in the Senate, the 2575, because since it moved in the House, then we do have a way of working and negotiating with the Senate Republicans, primarily with Senator Kiffmeyer, on hopefully finding out how we can move.
I mean, the Senate could vote on the omnibus, the House omnibus vehicle, right? I mean, they could just.
They could, but
In
they're not.
theory, sure.
They could, but they're not.
No, they're not going to do that.
It's part of that negotiating chip that I told you guys about, but they can pull stuff out. Because she's gonna have a government operations.
Because that elections omnibus bill, you know, and I say this endearingly because the league supports a lot of the policies in there. That's the DFL bill. That's the DFL bill. It is DFL dream world. There is very few.
It's HR.
Yeah. And there's a lot of there are some policies in there, very few, that Republicans in the House support, let alone the Senate Republicans support. And like I said, we support a lot of the policies that are in the elections omnibus bill. But the likelihood of it being taken up and passed by the Republican Senate is -%, is really where we're at. So the only way moving forward. Right, and that's kind of the question that Republicans were putting forward in the election subcommittee and the government operations committee is why would you put forward a bill that is never going to make it through the Senate, is never going to get, like, who possibly. Now, to the DFL credit, their strategy, I can see, is that, as I talked about earlier tonight, is they put in as much DFL policy as they want, like as much as possible. The Senate will take their state government operations bill and put in as much Republican policy and appropriations as they want. And then when they go to conference committee, they'll negotiate everything away so that only a very slim bill that has the stuff that they agree upon or have traded horses on will pass. And so I see where they're coming from, but it still makes it so difficult because, you know, then it's a question of like, well, what's going to get negotiated away, what's going to stay, how do you follow that? Because most of those negotiations happen
But doesn't
behind
that
closed doors.
pit, doesn't that then pit bills that had good policy reforms against less, you know?
Yep.
In other words, by doing it that way, you're going to throw more of the baby out with the bathwater than if you were to simply try to at least pick up the baby standing in the bathwater to hold on to. I mean, I shouldn't use that right now.
No, that's true. No, and
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you could still do what you're saying and not screw so many other really good policies that could have stood alone.
They would have stood alone on their own, and then, but none of the other policies that aren't agreed upon would make it through. And I think that's why people
But
are
they
like.
could do both ends. Like they could do both ends. Like they could take or stir the boat that has a lot of bipartisan stuff and keep the rest in it.
So.